Natura 2000. The European Ecological Network, an ambitious project of the European Union, established with the aim of preserving biodiversity through the protection of habitats and species. The Birds Directive and the Habitats Directive lay a solid foundation for nature protection in Europe, encompassing hundreds of areas of exceptional importance. Although it sounds promising on paper, reality often tells a different story. On paper, the guidelines are clear, but as usual, the EU does not impose strict regulations on how things should be done. Instead, the directives consist of general principles that member states develop on their own. Essentially, such logic relies primarily on trust in the system and its effective functioning, which is politically quite naive, given that we live in a society full of conflicts traditionally based on the exploitation and commodification of nature, not only for extracting resources necessary for human survival, but primarily for private profit interests. Effective nature conservation, therefore, depends on measures and implementation designed at the national level. In Croatia, this process places everything under the jurisdiction of public institutions responsible for managing areas within the ecological network. That is, state institutions determine what forms of economic activity are permitted in protected areas. And in Croatia, it seems everything is allowed. In Croatia, deforestation is permitted everywhere regardless of the level of protection and the Natura 2000 directives, whether in nature parks, national parks, or even special reserves, and all this is in accordance with green policies and in line with the law. How is this possible? How is it possible that legal forest management in the Republic of Croatia simultaneously means ruthless deforestation with such consequences? In Croatia, for example, it is permitted to strip to bare ground the fairy tale-like floodplain forests of the renowned Special Ornithological Reserve, Crna Mlaka. It is also permitted, and in accordance with the law, to completely clear 1/3 of the total forest area surrounding the Special Zoological Reserve, Varoški Lug. Likewise, the precious forests of Bilogora Mountain are managed in the same way, while, for example, on Zrinska Gora Mountain, thousands of hectares of dense forests were stripped bare in one fell swoop. Undoubtedly, Natura 2000 on paper represents one of the most powerful tools for nature conservation. But is Natura 2000 really a strong enough barrier between nature and greed? Or is it just a dead letter on paper, a formality covering up ecocide? Because while Natura 2000 areas are protected on paper, it is more than evident that, in reality, they are at the mercy of private economic interests. Croatia is a country with almost half of its land area covered by forests. About 76% of these forests are state-owned, managed by the state company Croatian Forests Limited, under the direct control of the Ministry of Agriculture and special supervision by the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Green Transition, responsible for managing areas under Natura 2000 protection. However, in practice, the same system that should oversee nature protection actually enables its destruction because both ministries, driven by economic interests, often approve management plans where it is clear that forests in that area were already severely depleted in the previous period and that the implementation of the new plan will cause even greater damage. It is precisely in this nexus that the grey area between practice and regulation lies. Croatian Forests Limited, on the one hand, must follow the provisions and regulations that are based on laws which in turn are based on international regulations, including various ecological conventions such as Natura 2000 or the Ramsar Convention. But at the same time, they do not have to, because numerous official approvals from competent institutions formally cover even brutal clear-cutting on all, including protected forest lands. Thus, it is quite clear that in Croatia, on the one hand, there are national laws based on ecological directives, and on the other hand, the reality dictated by private profit. Therefore, it is astonishing that alongside the commendable European Union programme for nature conservation promoted by Natura 2000, a controversial programme for energy production from so-called renewable energy sources, which includes forests, is simultaneously imposed and encouraged. Since Croatia joined the European Union in 2013, over 100 plants for generating energy by burning wood biomass have been established. To satisfy the insatiable need for fuel, forests are systematically cut down, including old, valuable forests within the Natura 2000 network. Almost all biomass power plants are strategically located in close proximity to protected areas rich in forests, and their warehouses are always full of logs that are mercilessly ground for the purpose of burning and producing a questionable amount of energy. For example, one of the biomass power plants is located right on the border of the protected Pokupsko Basin, within which lies the special ornithological reserve Crna Mlaka. One is located near the Varoški Lug Special Zoological Reserve. Two biomass power plants in Glina, side by side with enormous capacities, are located not far from the protected forested area of Zrinska Gora mountain. Two registered wood biomass power plants in Grubišno Polje and two in Bjelovar are in close proximity to the protected forests of Bilogora mountain range. And while all the power plants are located somewhere near sources of biomass, one of them was built even in the heart of Lonjsko Polje Nature Park, which is protected by Natura 2000, as well as by the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands, within which there are 3 special ornithological reserves. Activists from Green Squad, a forum of the Veterans Association Vidra, have been gathering evidence for years about state-organized ecocide, its causes, and severe consequences in Croatia. Reports from Green Squad are backed by numerous photographs, videos, documents, numerical data, and expert analyses. They have unequivocally proven the link between years of continuous deforestation in Croatia and the favoritism shown towards the energy lobby of biomass energy producers, resulting in the overall damage to Croatia's state-owned forests. By comparing the state of forests that would have existed with professional, careful, and lawful management to the current condition, after a decade of irresponsible management, activists have found, through documents from the operations of the state-owned company, Croatian Forests Limited, that a total catastrophic loss of timber amounting to nearly 20 million cubic meters, worth approximately €1 billion, has occurred. Since 2018, Green Squad has been filing criminal complaints against the state-owned company Croatian Forests Limited, submitting reports to the State Attorney's Office of the Republic of Croatia about observed irregularities and illegalities in forest management, and warning the Parliament, the President, and the Prime Minister. But there has been no response. For years, under the state's patronage, deforestation has gone unpunished, and every year there are fewer and fewer of Croatia's precious forests, including those under protection. After unsuccessful attempts to stop brutal deforestation in Croatia, Green Squad turned to the European Commission at the end of 2020 and throughout 2021 with 2 documented reports titled Report on Deforestation in the Republic of Croatia. Additionally, based on the numerous pieces of evidence provided to him personally, Austrian member of the European Parliament and co-chair of the European Green Party, Thomas Weitz, together with Green Squad activists, toured some of the devastated protected areas in 2021. The first location where Thomas Weitz could see for himself that Green Squad was telling the truth about the alarming extent of deforestation was the Bilogora mountain.
We're here in Bilogora Mountains, It's a Natura 2000 area, which is under environmental protection of the European Union. We see actually fantastic biodiverse forests still remaining in the background, which have a very high nature value. And we see a huge clear cut here done by the State Forest institution of Croatia. It's Hrvatske šume. This is a huge clear cut. I would say this is around 100 hectares. Just every single tree cut. They were working here with heavy machinery. You see the signs on the street everywhere from big harvesters. This is 7 to 11 tons machinery that is massively destroying the soil, causing massive erosion. And there was no reason to cut every single tree here rather than cheap harvesting for maximum profit. Usually you would do small extractions, you would take some trees here, some trees there, but this is massive environmental destruction here, which is causing CO2 emissions instead of having a forest that collects CO2. This is massive nature destruction right here in the heartland of Croatia. We're standing here in a clear cut that has approximately 1,000 or even 2,000 hectares. It's literally the whole valley that has been clear cut 2 or 3 years ago. As far as you can see, even the hills back there are only showing very young forests. So they have been all clear cutted, the whole valley here. I've rarely seen that kind of massive devastation. And this in a Nature 2000 EU protected area.
The next location where Green Squad pointed out severe deforestation was the special zoological reserve Varoški Lug. After thoroughly reviewing the documentation on the management of this area and conducting a field inspection visibly concerned, Thomas White stated,
"We're here in another protected area in the lowlands. It's called Varoški Lug. It is a special protected area, not just Natura 2000, but also Ramsar bird habitat. So it's a special zoological protected zone here. They have put really nice signs and you see fantastic forests in the back. There are still few bits remaining, but the biggest part has been plundered, has been clear cut in the middle of high protected area, Varoški Lug. Just follow me and see the disaster. That's what remains. It's grassland, no more trees, no more forest, complete devastation. There is no possibilities for birds to nest anymore. It's completely destroyed. And this, again, in a highly protected area, not just Natura 2000, but Ramsar habitat site, a special zoological habitat. That's how nature and natural heritage of Croatians and Europeans is treated here by Hrvatske šume.
However, alongside the almost endless stretches of brutal deforestation in the special ornithological reserve Crna Mlaka, the co-chair of the European Green Party was further shocked to discover that the European Union had largely financially supported the commission of ecocide in an area it was primarily supposed to protect.
We're here in Crna Mlaka, south of Zagreb. This is a Natura 2000 area. This is a Ramsar protected bird habitat. And we're in the middle of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hectares of clear cuts. And we see here that we, the European Union, with CAP money, so with agricultural money from rural development, are co-funding this disaster here. Only for the European Union and for FSC, so for the quality certification of wood, they have put some new trees here. You see all these kind of tubes with new trees in it. First of all, they could have never done a clear cut after Croatian law without having 75% of natural regrowth. There is zero regrowth here. That's why they need to plant trees here. And we are funding it with 85% of EU money.
Oni glume sad oporavak šume. Sad će oni tu saditi. Kužiš kao obnavlja šumu. Prvo sve ovo očiste i unište, a onda kao fol pošumljavaju. Ne? To je to. To je prestrašno. I onda kažu, pa budite strpljivi, za 100 godina ćete imati prekrasnu šumu, ne?
Digging all these channels, they must have killed hundreds and thousands of these frogs, but also the use of the frog, the livelihood of the frog. There's no plants in here anymore. This is actually a crime This is an environmental crime what was happening here.
On that occasion, visibly shaken, from the heart of the devastated reserve, Thomas Weitz appealed to the European Commission to urgently intervene and stop further forest destruction in Croatia.
Dear Environment Commissioner Sinčevičius, I've come here now today to Croatia to actually see in person what I have mentioned in the reports that we have drafted to you on deforestation, on devastation in Croatian forests, but not just in normal forests, in EU-protected Natura 2000 area, in EU-protected Ramsar habitat. I'm shocked what I see here. The wetlands here have been dried out through huge channels. There's huge CO2 emissions. There's hundreds and hundreds of hectares of clear cuts, even around the actual lake of Černa, the actual protected and intensively protected bird habitat. And I saw a plate where our EU money is used from the rural funds to replant some trees, but only on one small sector, to show it to us, to the European Commission, while all the rest is not maintained, is in a disastrous state.
Finally, Thomas Weitz summed up his 3-day tour in one sentence.
Protected Ramsar bird habitat and Natura 2000 area. Where's the forest gone?
However, even after Weitz's alarming call to action, and despite all the presented evidence of blatant violations of the Natura 2000 directives, the reaction from the relevant European institutions is absent. They continue to remain silent. The forests in Croatia are still without effective protection, and deforestation continues. Natura 2000, the symbol of European ecological protection, has undoubtedly become synonymous in Croatia with the powerlessness of the law against greed and corruption. While institutions turn a blind eye, the devastation of forests continues, and the lack of adequate response further undermines the credibility of the entire nature protection system in Europe, sending the message that violations can be tolerated without serious consequences. The destruction of nature continues solely in the name of profit, and questions about its protection remain unanswered. Is Natura 2000 a dead letter on paper? Or have we, as a society, failed? All indications suggest that the responsibility for further devastation lies at all levels, from local authorities and institutions, through the national government to the European Union. Without stronger oversight, more effective legal mechanisms and decisive political will, Natura 2000 in Croatia remains an ineffective tool that, instead of protecting nature when unenforced, allows its destruction. Unless concrete measures are urgently taken to improve oversight and implement directives to stop the deforestation of protected areas, there is a real danger that Croatia will lose its most valuable natural resources, and Natura 2000 will become a symbol of a missed opportunity to preserve nature.